Hi there, it's Lindsay here, and today we're talking about chargy lead changes. So the question that was sent in was, help, my horse is charging off in my lead change. What can I do about it? And I am going to cover a few things around chargy lead changes, like why do they happen, and how you should handle it, some of the best equipment to use, and just try to give you some tips so that you feel empowered to keep working on your lead changes, because I know that lead changes can become a really big mental block and a really big source of frustration for both riders and horses. So I'm going to chat about chargy lead changes. If you have questions as I go along, whether you're watching live with me or whether you're watching the replay, you're more than welcome to drop your questions, and I will try to get to them while I'm live, or I'll swing back and try to get to them later. If you have a question or a topic that you would like for us to address, then you can send that in to us. You can drop it in the comments, or you can send it in to us at hayeskofalph@gmail.com, and we would be happy to add that to our list, or maybe even send you a live that we've already done if we have already done something that might help you out. Okay, so first question, what is a chargy lead change? So just to clarify, if you're not sure what I mean by chargy, a lot of times what happens in lead changes is the horse can be loping around really cute and relaxed, and all of a sudden lift their head up, brace with the muscles down on the bottom part of their neck, push into the bridle, and kind of run through the bit, either before the rider has even asked for the lead change, while they're asking for the lead change, or after they've already done the lead change. So we're going to kind of include all of those three scenarios for the purpose of this question here. And why does it happen? So I think the first thing that happens when somebody has their horse kind of get chargy, it can happen even on horses that are normally quite lazy. And so I think the first thing that everybody goes to is like, oh my gosh, they've never done this before, or oh my gosh, why are they doing this? And it's important to understand why. It is important to understand why, for sure. But the most important thing to remember is that you have to manage it. You know, why they did it and the fact that they did it are kind of two separate things. The fact that they did it means that, we need to school it. Why they did it, if we can figure out why they did it, sometimes that's helpful in how we school it. Sometimes that's helpful in how we set them up again. But it's most important to stay focused on how do I fix it, and not to get too hung up on why did they do that. I see that happening a lot with riders. So some of the reasons why they might do it is if they are, if they're anticipating the lead change. I think that's the biggest one. If they're anticipating something hard, right? Anytime that the horse is anticipating something challenging, something that maybe they don't understand, they feel confused about, they can try to anticipate it and rush it and just kind of get it done, right? Get whatever pressures that you're having to apply to ask them to change. They just kind of want to get through that and get through to the release. So anticipating is probably the biggest reason why a horse will get chargy. Another reason why your horse could be getting chargy is if you're using too much spur, okay? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have too sharp of a spur or you're kicking too much with your spur. It could even mean that your leg is sitting off the horse when you're just loping, and then when you ask it to change, that spur is coming in out of nowhere, and it feels like a poke, right? So horses can handle a lot of pressure in terms of a lead change, but a lot of like poking or the leg coming in out of nowhere can get them really anticipating and anxious and looking for the out. That's where you'll see them, just try to scoot there and get it done. And then the other thing, so why they do it, anticipating for sure. If you're using your spur too much. And then I think the other thing that's really important to understand, especially with charginess in a lead change, is that it's a totally normal part of the horse learning to change leads, and it's a totally normal part of the rider learning to change leads. So sometimes you don't have to question, why is this happening? You can just know that this is part of the process, and now this is the thing that we have to work through. remember that when you're doing something with your horse that is new to the horse or is new to you, that it's not going to just go from being nothing to being perfect, that you're going to have these phases throughout, and charginess is part of it. Charginess in the lead change is something that I have dealt with, that Jesse has dealt with, that I will deal with again, that Jesse will deal with again. It's a very normal part of the lead change process. So just understanding that, I think, can help give riders a lot of confidence and know that it's not necessarily something that you're doing wrong. It's just part of the game. It's just part of teaching a 1,000-pound flight animal how to change the sequence of its legs in midair. Sometimes they're going to get a little bit chargy. Sometimes they're going to elevate a little bit. Sometimes they're going to change in front before they change behind. Sometimes they're going to take a stutter step and trot. There's all kinds of things that are going to happen in that process. And it's just our job as the rider to try to make sure that we are making the right thing feel comfortable, the wrong thing feel uncomfortable, and getting closer to the ultimate goal. Okay, so why? Now we want to talk about how you should handle it. So I think the first thing when we talk about how to handle it is understanding that human safety always has to come first, right? So I always use this hierarchy of human safety first, then horse safety, then horse well-being, and then human well-being. It's something that we talk about a fair bit in my lessons, certainly anytime that I'm doing anything with youth students. And in this case, if we apply it to this scenario where your horse is getting chargy in the lead change, are you at risk? Is it actually unsafe for you? Are you going to fall off here? Okay, so that's the first thing that we need to deal with. And if it is likely, if you are getting hurt or you are likely to be hurt, then the way to handle it is to find a way to not get hurt, whether that is having somebody on the ground helping you, whether it's a lesson, whether it's sending your horse for training or whatever. Your safety is paramount. Okay, then obviously the horse's safety, then the horse's well-being, and then your well-being. So safety is paramount. Okay, how else should you handle it? So when I said before that it's a normal part of the process, I think what you should focus on, if this is a new behavior, if your horse is getting chargy in the lead change, what you want to focus on is the maneuver correct or is it clean? So if you were going from doing a simple change or doing a lead change where they're changing in front and not behind, and now you're getting the clean lead change, but they're chargy, that is a better option than the others. Okay, so focusing on the correctness of the maneuver is important. Don't take out that charginess just yet before you make that cleanness and correctness consistent. Okay, unless your safety is jeopardized, and then obviously you go back to your own safety. Okay, so allowing a little bit of charginess, allowing a little bit of speed so that you can get the clean change is what then leads to a slower, more controlled, also clean change. Okay? And then the last way is to make it pretty. So the last thing that you need to do, if you're getting your changes and they're clean every time and your horse is just getting chargy as you change or after the change or kind of diving into the new circle, then that's where we want to talk about developing some exercises that you can do to help support your horse, where you're changing them, where they're not anticipating it, where it's going to set them up so that they're not anticipating it, and so that you can actually set them up not to charge. Okay, so one of the things that happens a lot when people start working lead changes is they start changing leads through center all the time, and what the horse learns is that if they change leads and they get going the other way, then they don't get spurred on. So then of course they're going to try to change really fast, rush it, dive in the new direction, and get that release that way. So I would definitely avoid changing leads at center. I would look at some options like changing leads across the diagonal. Like in our arena, we'll go like from one corner across to the other on the diagonal and change. developing some exercises where you change leads and keep your horse straight. Anytime that you can change them and keep them straight where they don't dive into the new direction is really helpful. Changing leads where you quit right afterwards. If your horse is chargy, ask for the lead change, then hum, quit, bring them right back down to the walk. Sometimes you're just going to have to pull them. Sometimes you're going to change and they're going to get chargy, and you're just going to have to really pull them back hard until their whole body kind of comes back to you. Counter canter, working on the counter canter is really, really great. Not only does it stop the horse from anticipating what way they're going to go, and that the lead that they're on determines what direction they're going to go. It kind of separates those things, but it also helps the horse to be more balanced, to develop more balance, so that they get better at the actual act of changing leads. Okay, there's also a really helpful exercise that we do that is like a teardrop shape, where you're traveling down the rail and you turn in off of the rail and you come back, kind of side pass over to the rail and change, and then either quit or continue on the counter canter. And any of those, or all of those ideally, if you can kind of have a few of those exercises in your back pocket that you can use when you're schooling at home, use when you're schooling at the horse show, and kind of keep the horse honest and keep them so that they're minding you, they're paying attention to how their legs should be changing for the lead change, but not having to change speed, not having to change direction, just lead change and lead change and lead change and lead change, and make it feel like just another thing that they do rather than one big exciting thing, or I guess one big exciting thing in each direction per pattern if it's a reining horse. So those are some of the exercises that we have inside of Momentum. So for those of you that are Momentum members, right now we're in the middle of our teardrop shape. We're three or 4 weeks into our teardrop work. You're getting another one today shortly. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to hit the live button and you'll have that in there. And then next week will be the final part of the video series on creating that teardrop shape to improve your lead changes. If you are not in Momentum yet and you would like to be a part of that, or you desire some more support with your lead changes, our online coaching program is a really fantastic, really cost-effective way to do that. And a lot of what happens is actually the people that are here riding with us are a part of that program, and they're using it to supplement their lessons. There's people that are taking lessons with other trainers and coaches all over Canada, all over the US, and they're able to use the online program to develop the visual understanding of what we're talking about, as well as an understanding of the exercises, so that when they're actually on their horses or on their horses at their lessons or at their clinics, they can just work on the technical aspect of making their horse do it rather than trying to understand those concepts. So if you're not part of that program and you are interested in it, let me know and I will get you that information. We are going to actually open it right back up to the public again and bring some people in. Looking forward to that, meeting some new people, seeing some old faces and stuff in there, and helping everybody with their lead changes. If you have questions about lead changes, make sure you leave them for me and I will swing back around and get them. Otherwise, thanks for being here. I'm sorry it's just a little bit louder than normal. We got a lot going on here today, middle of show season, and all the things. You guys get it, I'm sure. So I will look forward to seeing you guys next week on Thursday at noon and helping you with something else. Have a great day.